To the Batmobile. Let's go.
Atomic batteries to power. Turbines to speed.
Here, ready to move out.
Well, the good thing about Geek Week is it didn't really make fun of the people you were interviewing with. It kind of made fun of you guys, the interviewees, or the interviewers, I should say.
It made fun of us geeks in general.
Yeah, it didn't. It wasn't nasty because I went to Chicago Comic-Con last year, and now they're coming out of the woodwork, and they're just assholes, just trying
throw potatoes at you and everything.
Trying to be funny just for the sake of being funny. And the sake of the people they're interviewing.
And we even, while we were shooting that episode at Comic-Con, there was. As I was walking around with Jack, we came across Andrew and Jeremy, who were dressed up as Thor and Loki, who were kind of just following us around, who we had in reserve in case we needed to do some funny little visual bits. And there was a film crew who had come up and was talking with them, and there were these two guys there was a guy with a video camera and another guy with a clipboard, and then another guy interviewing them, and we sort of walked past and saw that, or sort of backtracked and saw that they had been caught up in this thing, and this guy was interviewing them and asking them questions, and so we sort of just, sort of stopped what we were doing and walked over and sort of stood next to these guys who were shooting, and the guy with the clipboard kind of turned to us, and he was like, "Yeah, you guys may want to back away. We're and we were like,
superstar right there.
We hadn't even done anything, and
look out.
He was like, "Yeah, so you may want to back off." Jack just turned to me and said, "This dude just told me he's from Fox, and we need to watch ourselves." And I was like,
scary.
What the? And so then, I kind of asked him, what are you guys shooting here? And he was like, we're shooting some stuff for the upcoming Revenge of the Nerds movies, so if you could just be quiet.
Dude, and I was like, what is it about 98% of this convention? Right?
Exactly.
Where the fuck do you think you are?
Exactly. And these two guys were like these gorgeous Adonis-like human beings who obviously had crawled out of some production office and didn't know the first thing about comic books. They were there to make fun of all of the attendees. And the dude who was interviewing them was just being an absolute jackass.
Yeah.
And, Jeremy and Andrew were being as nice as they could. They were on camera. And so, as soon as I realized that, these guys don't belong here at this convention and they're being total assholes. So then I just walked in front of the camera. I was like, I'm pulling my guys out. And they were like, what are you doing? I was like, these are my guys. They're with my show. And
good man.
And they were like, oh, well, could you sign some release forms? And I was like, no. We just kind of walked away. And then we heard later that that movie didn't happen. So, it's kind of a waste of time for them anyway.
Revenge of the Nerds.
But we didn't get Nerds 20. We didn't do it.
Yeah, exactly that. Exactly. But it makes me sad that that's the kind of, that there are people who come to the convention who still have that in mind. They're sort of like, oh, it's funny if we make fun of them.
Yeah.
It's like, no, it's only funny if you're one of them.
Right,
kind of
make fun with them.
Who are they to say it's funny in the first place? That's the thing, It's like,
exactly.
Who's the judge?
Exactly. Right.
It's a lifestyle, baby. It is. It really is.
Exactly. We know what's funny, and nobody else can tell us what that is.
That's right.
So,
it's like, thank God, Wizard.
I don't mean, right.
Stuff like that.
I mean the global we as comic book people.
Right.
Determine what is good. But, so, I don't remember what I was saying.
We should get a parade together and march for our rights.
Right?
Seriously.
Burn our comic books.
Geeks are people, too. Geeks are people, too.
Burn our capes.
That's right.
Burn our capes in protest.
We're in this summer right now where I just went to go see Hellboy 2 last night.
Oh, cool.
How'd you like it?
That's the fourth comic book movie this summer. The fifth one's coming out this week.
Craziness.
Iron Man, Hulk, Wanted.
Hellboy 2, by the way, was a lot of fun. I'm not really sure that it was necessarily a Hellboy movie, but it was definitely a really cool version of Pan's Labyrinth.
I was going to say, those creatures are totally out of Pan's Labyrinth. I was talking to my friend Billy at the bar. You're drunk. I was like, it looks a lot like Pan's Labyrinth. I didn't see it. But the creatures looked cool, we having a drunken conversation about it. He's like, I just got back from it. Oh, okay. I forgot half of it, but apparently it's a lot like Pan's Labyrinth. The characters.
Yeah, and that's not a bad thing. I mean, you got the feeling like this is the sort of stuff Guillermo wanted to do with Pan's Labyrinth, but didn't have the $100 million he needed to do it. And so it's all in Hellboy, and it's totally worth seeing.
It's eye candy mostly, I guess,
for the eyes.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Eye buffet.
Yeah.
No, he's got his hands on the Hobbit.
Yeah,
that should
and
be
that's
interesting.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
I think awesome.
if they were going to find any guy to do it who was not Peter Jackson, that's a really solid choice.
Yeah, who is producing, so that's going to be cool. I think it'll be very cool.
Yep.
Anybody know who's up for the role of Bilbo? Anybody know?
Me. I just auditioned yesterday. They said I was too tall. They said if I cut off my legs, I'd be fine.
6'3". How tall are you again, Chris?
6'4".
Chris is 6'4".
They said if I cut off my legs, I could play the part, no problem. I'm in.
A fucking manhole.
Show me the nubs you're in.
That's right. You're gonna look really good with fuzzy feet.
Yeah. Fuzzy nubs because I got to cut off my legs.
He's like Samuel Jackson.
Bad motherfucking Hobbit.
Now that would be something else.
I don't remember asking you a goddamn thing.
Yes.
Bilbo.
Samuel Jackson is Bilbo Baggins.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I break your concentration?
Where's that ring, motherfucker?
They looked at IMDb and what's his name from Wanted? James McElroy?
James McElroy.
Yeah, I guess he's rumored to be.
Bilbo? I can see that. He's got the face con. It's got like that, kind of like a Tobey Maguire-ish look, I'd say.
So what happened to Geek?
Yeah.
What happened to Geek Week? It kind of shit the bed.
I don't. What did happen with Geek Week? That was an instance where we sort of reached our saturation point with it, where it became obvious that where we had kind of exhausted sort of the options that we thought were open to us about getting it picked up by a network or an online group. And once we kind of felt like, okay, well, now we're just sort of doing this under our own power here, we sort of looked at it and we were like, well, I'm not sure that our time, again, like Amanda Hades, I'm not sure that our time is best spent continuing on with this because it is a lot of work. There are other things that we want to do. There are stories that we want to tell. And so we decided that we were going to, just sort of end the series. We thought we had a lot of fun with it. We kind of made the show that we set out to make, and we were going to move on. And Jack asked if he could, kind of follow it up with a little something extra, and we said, yeah, absolutely. And he went off and did another episode, and I think they shot some other stuff that was going to be in a follow-up episode, but they started talking about doing a different sort of a rebranding, doing a different version of the show, and then Jack and his friend both got contacted by somebody who needed a screenplay for a horror film they were going to be making, and so then they started working on that. And I just had dinner with Jack a couple weeks ago, and he said that it was done. The script was done. I think they were doing a rewrite or two on it, and they were going to be promoting it at Comic-Con.
Oh, cool.
So if you see anybody promoting Land Party Massacre,
I gotta write it down.
What it's called. That's
Land Party Massacre.
What was it? What party? What party massacre?
LAN, L-A-N.
Okay.
Which, I mean, by this time they've probably changed the name, or I may have even gotten it. I apologize. But anyway, yeah, Jack's told me a little bit about it. It sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's a great opportunity.
Go for the stuff that makes you money. Even though it's fun to make the fan films and all that stuff, the important thing is at the end of the day you need clothes, and you need a place to stay, and you need food.
That's right. That's right.
The important
all
thing
those
at the end
things.
of the day. We could come back to the Amanda Hades,
Right.
Who knows? It could happen.
Yeah.
So also I saw on your site you had a comic book project called The Midnight Men. Tell me about that.
Yes, we are presently working on that. It's sort of been a dream, certainly of Bill's and of mine too, for since childhood really to make your own comic book. And it's weird how these things happen. It started off, oddly enough, as Bill coming to me sort of right after Geek Week was over and saying, hey, I've got kind of an interesting opportunity to make a line of action figures.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, and he was like, I really want to make a line of action figures. Can you write that for me? And I was like, well, I've never written an action figure line before, but I'll give it a shot. And Bill had a basic idea for a group of superheroes who were, sort of golden age, sort of 1930s, 1940s heroes. And, he was like, I'm inspired by Doc Savage and The Shadow and, Tarzan and, all that sort of thing. And, so I want to do something kind of like that. So, between him and myself, we came up with a group of 12 characters who, and a couple of enemies, who were going to be this action figure line, and they were going to do, I think, 4 characters first and 2 of the bad guys, and then if it took off, they were going to do later versions of it. And then as things tend to happen, the action figure thing went away, but we had developed all this story and backstory, and each of the characters had all of this work that had been done, all the way down to character designs and everything. And it's just there were no figures. And, Bill was like, hey, we've already done all this work. Why don't we try making a comic book about this? So we wrote up a 6-issue thing, and then immediately started shopping it around and got a couple of bites, and sort of got a crash course in comic book publishing and all of the money that's not in it to be gained, and all of the money that you do need to spend to make it happen, and sort of where it all goes and how it all works. And it was very eye-opening. We didn't know any of that going into it. And we sort of talked it over and, sort of talked over the deals that we had been offered, and basically decided that we wanted to give it a shot just on the web and see how that worked out. So it's we're in the middle of putting together sort of a kind of an experimental way of delivering webcomics to people that is not sort of the traditional way that we've been seeing so far. And we've got some ideas about, sort of what we like about webcomics and what we don't like, and we're trying to come up with a version that is better geared towards the brick and mortar comic book reader. So anyway, we've got a great artist who we found named Gabriel Hartman, who is incredible. He's actually, it turns out in real life, he's one of Hollywood's top storyboard artists.
Oh, wow.
And he's always wanted to be a comic book artist, and he makes mega bank, doing storyboards for Hollywood. But
that's pretty much what storyboards are, just glorified comic panels, So
yeah, exactly. In a lot of ways, they certainly are. And there's a huge emphasis, obviously, in storyboards in telling a story. So he has this incredible mind for doing layouts and, panel composition, stuff like that, to actually tell a story, because that's all he does all day, is figure out ways to tell the story visually for the crew and for the director, to the director's specifications. And not only that, he's incredibly fast, which is kind of unheard of. Most comic book artists, and I'm not speaking from personal experience, but just from what I've observed, they have a lot of dedication to their craft, and they spend a lot of time, working on stuff. But because Gabe is in this, this environment where he's constantly having to produce quickly, he's just gotten really fast. So it's almost kind of not fair how good an illustrator the guy is and the speed at which he works. So anyway, so we're obviously very excited about that, and so that's the Midnight Men, and I wish I could tell you a date that we're going to be premiering it online, but we don't have one yet, because we're trying to put as much stuff together before we actually start releasing it, so that we're not in a situation where we've got one issue done and then we post it, and then if God forbid something comes up and we can't get to it the next month. Like, one of the things that we really feel strongly about is that you got to release on a regular schedule. and so we won't.
Because you know that there's certain books that are great. They just take forever to release that next issue, and you're just left hanging like, what the hell's going on here, you know?
Exactly. Exactly.
You don't want to be one of those people. That's a good thing. It's a very good thing.
Well, it's just, I think it's something that everybody who just starts off in comic books says, that's what I'm going to do, and then they find out.
Yeah, that's what they say. And then,
so we're definitely, I guess we're going to find out just how hard it is to do that. But that's what we want to do. We don't want to release things prematurely, so we're going to wait until we got a decent backlog, and we know we can hit the schedule. So
got a good plan.
Good plan. Excellent.
Well, thank you.
Yay.
Thank you. And if you want to, see the 5 pages of the Midnight Men, it's on our blog. You can reach it through Third Floor Productions, thirdfloorprod.com. So you can see Gabriel's artwork, and you can see, I think actually Bill has posted a bunch of the original concept artwork that we had done.
I actually saw that, the black and white concept sketches.
Yeah, it really hasn't updated since the beginning of the year. So maybe nothing's happened since the beginning of the year. Who knows?
Pretty much everything that's happened since the beginning of the year has been stuff that is not blog-worthy.
Yep. Okay.
Quite frankly,
understandable.
It's just us kind of, putting stuff together and, doing revisions on the story and stuff like that. So there isn't too much up on the blog that's new. But there's plenty of fun old stuff that's up there.
Yep.
Yeah, check those character sketches look great.
Yeah, they turned out really. We basically just got this wealth of goodwill from friends of ours who are artists and illustrators, and in particular, one friend of ours named Marcy Klinger, who is just an incredibly profound illustrator, and she does a number of different styles. But she did a lot of the concept art that you'll see on that site, and she's a friend of ours who went to school with us and everything like that, and she's based out of Portland, Oregon. But she did a lot of, I don't know if you remember back during the Amanda Hades days, but she did an entire online comic book of Amanda and Singer and Interface.
Yep.
Yeah, I saw that.
I wonder if is the website still up?
Yeah, and that was her website, and it was all her work, and she actually, Marcy's actually kind of a big influence on Amanda Hades. She was, in school with us when I was shooting the original show, and she really liked it a lot and did a bunch of illustrations just because she thought it was cool. Mm-hmm. And when it came time to start doing the web series, I asked her if I could have her permission to use one of the characters that she came up with, which was the character of Interface. So that was Marcy's character, and I really liked sort of the prologue stories that she was telling, and I wanted to kind of work them into the continuity. So, in fact, Marcy was even there when we were doing our casting session for the character of Interface. So she just happened to be in town at the same time. So, anyway.
Should I move on to something that no one's going to know what the hell we're talking about? It's called First-Person Shooter.
Okay. I know what it's about. I saw the trailer. But
dude, man, why don't you release that? It's good.
It looks funny.
That is an excellent question.
No, you can't just go from zombies to ninjas mid-level. The characters haven't had a chance to face the zombie king yet.
No, not ninjas. Ninja. There's just one. It's foreshadowing.
All right, guys. All right, listen. I have no idea what you are talking about. And if I don't know, nobody else will. But what I do know, people like spies. Hey, listen, hear me out. I read about it in this morning's Variety. We just rename it CIA Shooter. It's not too late. We get Tom Clancy to endorse it. I can do that. We're both Republicans.
Kyle.
Yes, Heather. Not now. I'm on fire.
The latest stack of headshots is waiting in your office.
We're the voiceover talent.
Only the women.
Okay. We pick this up later?
Yeah, sure.
Don't lose the fire.
Heather gets a raise.
Yes.
First-person shooter being our first and so far only feature that we've shot, which did Chris, I think, did I send you a copy?
You did. It's great. It's like, I'll put it up there with Kevin Smith's original Clerks. I think it could have that type of cult following. I think it's that good.
There you go.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, thank you.
Absolutely.
Why am I sitting on it?
I don't know. That's why I'm asking you. Because I think it's really good, and I think it will really, it will find a fan base, an underground cult following, my personal opinion.
Well, I thank you for that.
Sure.
When we originally made it, like, we premiered it at Comic-Con, at the Comic-Con Film Festival, and there was a group of probably like 200 people in the audience, and it got a great reaction, and we had an in with one or two people who were movie sellers who, sell to direct-to-DVD, stuff that you find at Blockbuster that you've never heard of, and, stuff that runs on the Sci-Fi Channel and plays overseas and stuff like that. And we were like, oh, well, maybe, everybody who sees it, really enjoys it. We should really, maybe we have a shot at getting some small distribution out of this. And what we found out was that people who buy and sell movies don't play video games.
Yeah.
And so they didn't get any of the jokes.
Shouldn't they know their audience they're trying to sell to? They don't play video games? Isn't that a big audience? I think they make $1 gazillion a year selling video games and stuff like that.
They do, and I think that, looking back on it, it may have been our fault for not, trying to present all that information when we were, trying to, sort of sell them on the idea of the movie. But since then, the reason why we didn't immediately just put it up on the web was, it was an hour and a half long, and at that time there wasn't a real good way to get, 90 minutes worth of material up onto the web to be viewed.
Okay.
And, but we, there were, every time that I was just about to break it down into segments and put it up on YouTube or put it up on our website, another possible opportunity would come up where we might be able to get it in somebody's hands. And, I mean, it feels like we've kind of been living our lives that way, of like near opportunities. But every single time it's gotten to a certain point where it hits somebody and they're like, yeah, I don't get it. And so it's like, well, okay, I guess it's a bit again. So we will post it online, and I know I've been threatening to do it for a year or two, and the only reason why it hasn't happened is every time I'm about to do it, somebody says, oh, I know this guy, and he's looking for this stuff.
Yeah.
And so then I stop, and then I, send it off, and then, several weeks go by.
Understandable.
That sort of thing. So
you've been kind of living that too, right, Chris? You've been shopping stuff around.
Yeah. I beat myself up a lot.
Chris has been shopping stuff
Trying
around.
a little bit. But you're in the prime location. I'm in fucking Rochester, New York. At least you're there where it's at.
Where are you operating now, Sean?
Well,
L.A.
Yeah.
Aha.
So, but I mean, I gotta say, like, when I first moved out to L.A., there was, because I remember, like, the big question that everybody asked when I was at film school in New Mexico, whenever somebody would come out to lecture, was, can I work in the movie industry from here in Santa Fe? And the answer was always no. There's no way. And people would say, well, but there's the internet now, and they'd always be like, it doesn't make any difference. People in L.A. don't know about the internet. They don't trust you unless you've worked in Hollywood, and that's it. So if you want to work in the movie business, you got to move out to L.A. But that's not true anymore. And they're, like, even on the level of, like, visual effects, which is what I'm in every day, there are visual effects houses all over the country now. There are visual effects houses all over the world, to the point where a lot of visual effects work is just going overseas now. And in this day and age where you can do, video conferencing and, meetings with clients and whatnot online, even over the phone, and you can, I don't know if anybody's going to be familiar with the term CineSync, but, you can have interactive video sections via QuickTime, from different parts of the world at the same time, where you and the client can be watching stuff,
sure.
At the same time on two separate continents and talking about it over the internet. So it's just, the reality is that more and more you can work in the movie business without being in Hollywood. And we're merging into sort of a world where the geographic location of where you're at isn't going to make a whole lot of difference. It always will in some particular aspects of the industry, but certainly as far as writing goes, I mean, why do you need to be in Hollywood at the moment to be a full-time writer?
Certainly.
I've said that, and any full-time writer will be like, well, how are you going to go to meetings when you're not in Los Angeles? And certainly, if you're going to be a well-paid, regular working screenwriter, you do still kind of need, at this point, you do still kind of need to be here in town. But there are people all over the country who are writing great screenplays and getting them optioned and stuff like that, and you don't see them, like, constantly working, I don't think, from wherever they're at. I mean, a lot of them move to Hollywood after they sell the first thing, but the fact that those things are happening now and people are getting things sold, not having to live in Hollywood, that's huge, and that's only going to increase. It's only going to get better. So, I mean, we're watching this sort of Hollywood become not so much of a geographic place as it is, more of a place in cyberland, and sort of, it's becoming more of an international community rather than just a town.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm saying is, don't stop writing.
Right.
And
possibilities are endless.
Well, I mean, it's context too. I mean, you could be a shitty ass writer and meet someone at a bar in Los Angeles and get a job, and you can be a great writer and live in Syracuse, New York, and no one knows who you are or will ever know who you are.
Or Rochester.
No, Rochester. Well, yeah, I was turning the story on me, but I thought I'd change the town, change the city.
6'4" tall guy in Rochester.
Not saying I produce anything all that great, but still, it's who you know as well. It's not necessarily the material that you crank out, which I'm sure you can relate to.
Yeah, it is. But I mean, I've read your stuff, and you got a lot of potential, baby.
Okay, baby.
I was happy to hear that
got
you were
the chops.
going to be. Did I just say baby?
I think so, baby.
Yeah, that's why I said you got the chops.
Uh-oh.
Come on,
I'm just warming my hands on your talent. You've got a lot going for you, and certainly,
thanks for saying that.
Absolutely. And if you keep working at it, I don't have any fears that you're going to be selling something.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that.
I mean,
go, Chris.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Well,
so
I certainly will keep working at it.
That coming from a guy who works in visual effects, but still.
Yeah, but you're not too shabby yourself as long as we're kissing each other's asses. And I got mine puckered up for you, baby.
I'm puckering up. Wave the next dance in my direction.
Now, you got the Comic-Con coming up. I'm not sure if it's doing it this year, but you've got a school that you do. I think it's like a 3-year. Well, the Comic-Con's only 4 days, so it's got to be like a 4-day school or something that you do. Are you going to do that this year?
Yep.
Okay, and you're going to do it with
It's the 5th year in a row. It's called Comic-Con Film School, and both Nick and Valerie, who you've already interviewed, and have you guys interviewed Aaron Schunke from
I talked to him on the phone about when I started talking with you. I probably talked to him about 5 years ago, and that was about it.
Oh, okay.
So no, he hasn't been on the podcast yet.
Well, he's another one of our panelists who's going to be returning this year, and we've also got a couple other people who are going to be joining us for the first time this year. But it's basically we're sort of like the opening act for the Comic-Con International Film Festival, which is a strictly genre-related film festival that happens.
No fan films, right? No fan films, or certain?
But no fan films.
Right.
Yeah, there are no fan films. And the reason for that, and also we don't actually screen any fan films in our panel either. And we get that question a lot, and you haven't asked it, but I'll tell you anyway.
Okay.
Because I think the convention may have taken a little bit of flack from the fan film community about that, but the Comic-Con has gotten so big now, and it's such a huge sort of testing ground for Hollywood, where they get like this great exclusive footage from big genre movies every year, stuff that people have not seen before, stuff that they won't see again for months and months. And it's this amazing like conglomeration of just breaking news for geekdom from the big Hollywood studios and from publishing houses and all this sort of stuff. And Comic-Con does not want that they don't want to lose that.
No, absolutely. I know it's a business, absolutely.
Right. And I think they came under fire for one of the Batman fan films at one point, got screened at Comic-Con, and this was sort of, before the term fan film was really around, I think. But I think somebody went on the internet and was like, wow, that was so cool. Why can't, Warner Brothers, get this guy to direct the next Batman movie? And it was like, okay. At that point,
exactly.
Warner Brothers was like, and Comic-Con was like, well, we can't.
Come on, we got Schumacher, man.
Yeah, right? Because he did such a great job with the last two.
Schwarzenegger is Mr. Freeze. Yeah.
Yeah. Brilliant. That'll work. So,
so
anyway, so that's the whole reason why you don't Comic-Con. But,
gotcha.
Yeah. But regardless, I mean, the certainly, like, I've been working with Comic-Con on the film school for the last several years, and they're the nicest group of people, and they just they totally, wholeheartedly are into all of this stuff as much as we are, and they're just, they're trying to make the best convention every year that they can, and they just, they keep getting more and more attendees every year.
Sadly, I've never been to that one.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Oh, man.
3 years ago.
It's really cool. I realize it's a long way away for you guys.
Yeah, it's the other side of the universe.
But
if you use our helmet, our Kang helmet,
you won't forget.
We're going to use Kang's helmet and travel through time.
I was there 3 years ago. It was pretty cool. It was immense.
Did you have fun?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It was too big, honestly. I went to Chicago last year for the WizardCon, and that's probably okay, San Diego is probably the best weather. Chicago was probably the best con. So if we could, like, move the Chicago Comic-Con to San Diego, that would be cool. That would be, like, the perfect convention experience.
Is that just, like, the size or the stuff that was
I think it was the size, so people were more receptive. There wasn't as many people, so you could be more personable going up to the tables and stuff like that.
A little overwhelmed. Did you meet
San Diego's too goddamn big, and you can't see everything. And like you said, it's just immense, and it's crazy.
Yeah, it's.
We got maps made out and everything. They give everybody a compass when they walk in. It's crazy.
You gotta bring your fucking scooter to get to one part of the convention center to the other without having a heart attack.
3-day supply of food.
Yeah, it's like 3 city blocks long, and that's the con floor. I mean, that's the dealer's part of the floor.
Yeah.
Or the exhibition part of the floor. So yeah, you're not wrong. It's a mess.
Bigger isn't always better.
Yeah. So yeah. That.
At least that's what I tell my girlfriend.
What's that?
At least that's what I tell my girlfriend.
I hear that's true. I'm hoping that's true.
Oh God, what are we talking about?
Yeah, what?
Don't know what we're talking about, but I know you tell your girlfriend.
Rubbing her ass on my foot.
Your girlfriend's rubbing her ass on your foot?
Yes. And she just knocked over my Vision figure as she ran out of the room.
Well, what you do is let her keep doing that, and then sit on the floor Indian style. And then open your legs. Let her keep rubbing.
Oh, man. Sorry, the life of a fanboy. Sorry.
Sounds like it's pretty good.
Right?
Yeah. I'm a stud. What can I say?
You are a stud.
Yeah. Well, hey, I certainly won't argue.
Yeah.
Me neither.
Chris has got the moves with the ladies. Right, Chris?
Oh, yeah. Right.
He's got that mojo. That 6'4" mojo working.
No, after 11 years, you don't have anything working. 11 years of marriage, there's nothing working.
The Celtics.
Sean, you're married, right? Let me get all personal on you. Yeah. Okay. How long have you been married?
Yeah. I have been married 6.5 years.
Wow, I didn't realize it was that long.
That's a record, man. These days and times.
Oh yeah.
Do you have kids and shit?
I mean, no kids. No kids.
Are you gonna have kids and shit?
Yeah, we'll probably be getting a dog.
Oh, okay, that's close.
No
that's
kids.
close enough.
That's practice. That's kid practice.
Yeah. I told that to my parents. They didn't agree.
It totally is.
If you kill the dog, don't have kids. If you accidentally kill the dog, I don't think kids are for you.
Who the hell needs a future? You have dogs. You don't need to continue the bloodline.
They love you no matter what.
That's right, unconditional, baby.
No, I married this great girl from who I met in college, and she's a world-ranked kickboxer and into comic books as well. So, I hit the mother load, so that's
You don't fuck with her, do you?
It's going well.
No arguments.
Yeah, no,
yes, honey. Yes, dear. I'll do the dishes. No problem.
You're gonna be home tonight at 8 o'clock, right, bitch? Yes, please. Yes, I'll be there.
Oh God, please.
Oh God.
You are not going out with Jack and Brian. You're staying home. Yes, dear.
Good Lord.
Luckily, she loves Jack and Brian,
oh, cool,
so I do get to see those guys.
Very cool.
Yeah.
You seem like you're a really down-to-earth guy. That Vera Vanguard, she gave you a compliment saying you're really down-to-earth.
She did?
One of the few down-to-earth.
Oh,
I don't know if you listened to that podcast.
I'm mad about that.
Oh, yeah, you did, you prick.
Yeah, I was doing one of my mysterious jobs.
Yeah, you're getting your foot rubbed.
What was that?
When I did
doing one of my mysterious disappearances as usual. We've done a couple so far, right, Chris?
Oh.
Yeah, you did two.
two
Chris
disappearances.
No, he disappeared a couple podcasts he weren't in.
I got to miss out on Miss Vera Vanguard. She sounded really cool. So.
Oh, that's too bad.
And,
she is very cool.
She was very nice.
Very cool, and one of those. Yeah, one of those. I guess what would you call it? She's sort of like a micro celebrity. You know, she's known by a lot of fans, and in person she's just great. I mean, she's incredibly attractive too, which
right
hurt.
Doesn't hurt, right?
She is a very, very nice girl.
It sounds like she knows her stuff too, right, Chris?
Yep, she's very nerdy.
She's a fangirl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Safe to say.
Yeah. Yeah, her and Val both. I mean, I'm always impressed with just like how much geek lore they know, and they'll just you kind of fall into this trap where you start talking to them like they're normal people, and then they'll bust out with some obscure Boosted Gold reference. You're like, can you please marry me now?
Right.
Where have you been all my life?
Well, isn't kind of geek the new cool, anyways? Isn't that what it's starting to turn out to be? Because everything else has always been, has already been cool. So geek seems to be like the new cool.
Right.
I used to cry myself to sleep in high school. What's up with that? Oh
You're
God!
Now.
Wishing your pillow would dry.
With their grunge music and everything up its dork. Oh jeez. Have you ever grown my hair long or a smelly flannel?
Yeah.
Corduroy.
I can do that.
That was my generation. I graduated in '94. I don't know about you guys, but
did you guys see the Bloodrayne Fan Film?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, very cool.
It was good.
Yeah, that was fun. They used the video game music.
See, I've never played the video game.
Like, right on. It was a lot of fun. I mean, it's just like, I mean, you can't go wrong with a hot vampire character.
Yeah.
Constantly chopping up Nazis. I mean, it's
there you go, man.
She's like, the first time I called her, she like scared the shit out of me the first time I called her because she was like throwing, jabs left and right, and then when I interviewed, she was like so tame. So I don't know what happened from one point to the other. But I know that interview isn't totally her. I know she's full of hell.
There's a little bit more to Vera.
Yeah, I'm sure. But she was I think she was just being nice, which I think.
Yeah, well, she is very cool.
Yeah, and probably full of hell.
And what?
And full of hell, I'm sure. Full of hell.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Full of hell, yes. Absolutely. And she's also a stunt woman.
Yep.
Did she mention anything about that?
Yep, she sure did.
Yeah, that's awesome. She's dangerous.
Yeah, she was on.
What has she done work for?
She was on some soap opera, and I forget what else. She's got an IMDb. Hey, can I ask you a question, Sean? Jesus, you're here for answering questions, I guess. Why is none of your third floor productions? Why is none of the stuff you did with your third floor productions on your IMDb page?
Well, there are two reasons for that. The first reason being that IMDb only accepts cast or any kind of like listing, like any show listings, if the project was screened publicly.
Okay.
And internet stuff doesn't count, at least not yet. So since none of the stuff that we've done has really you could make a case for
I could.
first-person shooter screening at Comic-Con.
What about my basement?
Provide
count?
my
basement?
I think that's actually
it was in Will's basement. Okay.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So that's the reason why that's not up
I
there.
didn't know if you were ashamed of yourself.
No, it's nothing like that. Nothing like that at all.
All right.
But also, I mean, since I work in visual effects and IMDb is something that prospective employers check,
Right.
see, what you've done. The jobs that I'm up for are, visual effects jobs, and that's how I make my money, and so, that's kind of what I use my IMDb page for. So instead of, really trying and pushing to get that stuff up on IMDb, I will certainly post any credit that I get, on, writing a screenplay for something that gets produced, or if I direct something that actually gets some sort of distribution or something like that, then certainly I will put those credits up there. But until that happens, I don't want to, sort of just seed my page with
dilute it kind of with stuff that no one ever, even though it's great, stuff that no one necessarily never heard about.
Thing,
Makes sense, sir.
Thank you.
It has to have that name. It has to have that name brand on it, to make it big. It's just kind of sad,
It is. It is. Although the one thing that I would say is that for those of us who do use it, in the industry, who check up on coworkers or potential employees or employers, you kind of want to see the stuff that they've done that is money related. That sounds kind of
it makes sense.
When you see somebody's page where they have listed a bunch of stuff where they list themselves as writer, director, producer, costumer, audio mixer, all that sort of stuff, it's like,
right.
Okay, well that's cool, and you're like, well, I'm glad that you did all that, but it's not really what IMDb is for.
Right.
So, anyway, that's it. Of course, now there are a million reasons why I'm wrong about that on individual cases, but just as a general sort of.
Well, I was asking as far as you're concerned.
Oh, well,
so anyone else?
That's as far as I'm concerned.
That's tough nookies. No, it makes sense. It makes absolutely sense. It makes absolutely sense. It makes absolute sense. It makes applesauce sense. Absolutely sense. Whatever.
Yeah.
So,
boy.
Well, that's all I have as far as my questions are concerned.
Well, guys, thank you very much for the phone call.
Thank you, sir.
It's been a pleasure to talk with both of you for the first time.
Finally.
I've been a fan of what you guys have been doing, so
thanks
it was
so
a
much.
real honor to be on here. So
Likewise.
Now keep up the what's what's the next project as far as I know you got the comic book thing going.
Sure.
Any other films coming out from Third Floor? I know you got Salamander. You're going to play around with that.
Yeah, we probably won't do too much else with Salamander unless somebody sees it and is like, oh, God, hey, let's see what the rest of the script looks like. You probably won't see any more Salamander out of us. But, yeah, I'm sorry. As much fun as it was to do. I just actually had a conversation with Bill yesterday when I crawled out of this, or not yesterday, a couple days ago, after I crawled out of this hellish deadline-infested thing that I was working on. And he had just gotten back to town from, going back home for a wedding. And we were sort of like, okay, so what do we do? Because we've got, the Midnight Men is in the process of being done, but we were both just like, dude, we got to shoot something else now. And we've been playing around with a couple of ideas, so right now we're sort of in that state where we're picking the one that we want to do next and start putting that together. So we're hoping to be in some form of pre-production very shortly.
Right. Plus the impending actors strike that looks like it's going to happen eventually.
Yeah, we'll have
things aren't looking too
time.
good. Things aren't looking so good. Are they prolonging that for San Diego? Am I nuts and into the whole conspiracy theory thing? But are they doing it so the actors can go to San Diego?
I'm not sure that would have any bearing on whether they would go to San Diego.
Since the whole money thing.
I'm not in SAG, so I can't really speak to that.
Oh, okay.
From what I understand, as long as from the moment at which the strike starts, no more projects can begin after that point. So projects that have already been greenlit and are already being worked on, even if it's like the day before and somebody says green light, that project can continue work after the strike begins, and those actors can continue working because their contracts have already been cemented by that time. So they're fulfilling the obligations of those contracts.
So say if Heroes did so many episodes, but they're contracted for a year, that show can continue through its third season or whatnot. Or is that something totally different?
Right.
I don't want to get too technical on this.
Right. And since I'm not sure exactly how it works for television, but certainly, for movies, the way that, we're kind of affected by it is that, anything that has gone into production by the time the strike happens, that is work that we can work on through the point at which, that project ends. Now, if the strike is still going and all those projects wrap, then you'll start seeing, people start to go really hungry, and it sort of happens in a wave. So, like, if the strike, if the strike actually occurs, anybody who's not on a project by the time that starts is going to start getting, real hungry pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm.
But, the studios always front load all of their productions to be greenlit right before a strike happens, so they've got enough work going through to hopefully last through the strike. And so what you may see is if the strike lasts for a couple of months, movies that went into production will keep going through production, and then those movies will then go into post-production at that point, and then the strike could be resolved, and then it may be until the beginning of the next fiscal year before the studios start greenlighting anything again, because they've already spent their whole production budget before the strike happened. So, so it may be 6 months for a lot of people, no matter when the strike ends, before they start seeing work again. And as far as those of us in post-production are concerned, there's like a bubble that, we'll be waiting for to kind of catch up of, sort of an empty time where no post-production is happening, even though production has started back up again. We may be waiting several months before post starts on the next round of projects.
Okay, makes sense.
That makes any sense.
Absolutely. You explained it well, sir.
Technically, excellent.
Well, I read somewhere where the actors couldn't appear at Comic-Con. I don't know where the hell I read it, but they could have been totally wrong.
That could be.
Because if they were on strike.
Maybe marketing is considered something totally different.
Yeah.
And they can't be seen doing any of that. I'm not sure. That could be the case. So anyway, there you go.
Well, Chud, did you finish up saying what you guys you were talking about as far as you and Bill were talking and what you were going to do?
Yeah, basically.
And then we can end it on that note.
I can't tell you anything yet. We do have a couple projects that we've developed that we're deciding on which one to go forward with, but
okay.
I can't tell you which one that is yet because we haven't picked it.
Okay. Well, let us know.
Rest assured, I will let you know as soon as we're underway.
Please do.
As soon as we've got anything to show, I'll forward it along to you.
Excellent. I would love to see.
Thanks so much for being on the show, man.
Absolutely.
It was a good time.
Oh, dude, I had the best time talking to you guys.
Oh, thanks, man.
And
you were very well spoken.
Great to finally connect with you.
Yeah, absolutely. Finally to talk to you. We'll talk in another 6 years.
Okay. I look forward to it.
Or hopefully sooner.
You guys take care of yourself.
All right. Take care.
You too. Best of luck with everything.
Alrighty.
All right. Peace out.
I'm Tracy Nessie, and we are streaming to you live from Violent End Studios, where we are anxiously awaiting the release of one of the most controversial video games of the year, first-person shooter.
I believe this game can save mankind.
Creating a shooter game like this, it isn't brain surgery. You got it. A character with guns, and they run around and they shoot stuff, and it's a feel-good kind of time.
What's it like working here at Violent End?
The only entry-level job I could get was taking phone messages for a bunch of juvenile art school grads who sit around playing video games all day.
Jack! It's Kyle! It's 9:15 in the morning. Where the is everybody?
I was so excited to hear that you hired Z to be the art director for first-person shooter.
Z is all about pleasure. Z is all about swelling. Z is all about obtenebration.
What the hell is obtenebration?
There's a vampire and a werewolf attacking my character.
So?
The vampires and werewolves have been fighting each other for thousands of years!
What?
The characters. Tell me about them.
You're fired! You can't drop the game! We're 6 weeks from release!
That's it. But would a pair of newcomers have what it takes to create a successful video game? Maybe a better better question would be, why does my t-shirt keep getting tighter each time we do this?
Oh, yes!